Wow, I got a lot of vitriol the other day. I was posting information about crop sensors and about lenses. But apparently some people think they knew a little bit more than me, been taking part and fixing lenses for over 20 years. Apparently they did, because they quoted another YouTube channel, said I needed to use a chart to calculate differences in depth of field. However, that's not the case. Please click the link above. By the way, depth of field does not change with the different sensor size. And every lens on Earth, let's repeat this before getting into some of the details here. I'm going to try to make this really, really simple. It is really simple. Every lens on Earth, let's just say this is a lens right here, okay? It's a 56mm lens. It could be any lens. Every lens on Earth emits the exact same light. Now, the only thing that occurs between a camera, okay, and a lens, and I'm pretty sure I've got this accurate. Actually, I'm 1000% sure I have this accurate. No camera on Earth has ever changed the focal length, the angle of view, nor the field of view. But the only thing a camera ever communicates with, let's say the camera's back here. This is the sensor. We have an FX sensor or a DX sensor. The only thing a camera communicates with the lens is obviously focus, signals for vibration reduction, which are in the lens, and also distance calculation, where the lens tells the camera, hey man, what you're focused on is 20 feet away or 5 feet away. That helps the camera calculate light fall off for flash photography. So we have three things that the lens talks to or handshakes with in computer parlance with the lens, between lens and camera, back and forth, back and forth. Focus, vibration reduction, and for flash photography, at least on more modern lenses, okay, distance for flash calculation. But every lens on Earth, this is the little butt of the lens right here, the front of the lens, the butt of the lens. Every lens on Earth, doesn't matter if you stick a Hasselblad lens on a Leica, or a Nikon lens on a Hasselblad, or a Fuji lens on a Nikon, which you can't do, or a Nikon lens on a Fuji, or a Sony lens on who knows what. Every lens on Earth, without any exception whatsoever, never, ever, ever, does anything as far as changing what it poops out, boop, of its rear elements. Now, obviously, you can change the aperture, because that's going to change, but it doesn't change between cameras. No camera communicates to the lens to do anything different other than focus, VR, and asking for what's the distance you're focused at for flash calculation, for light fall off. Does not exist. Has never existed. Not with any camera at any point in time. Every lens, repeat after me, if you say something silly, people remember it. Every lens on Earth craps out the same light regardless of whatever camera is underneath it or whatever size sensor is underneath it. Now, effective field of view. Okay, up here, what are we looking at? Field of view, angle of view. Okay, here we have the field of view, which is a calculation in distance. However, photographers don't work that way. Videographers do. Over here we have the angle of view, right? What sort of angle of view do we have? There actually is an equation for that. There's no photographer on Earth or any photography channel that's ever used it. I've never even got mentioned to it in photography school. I might have, but I've forgotten. Here's calculation of angle of view. This is something that videographers use. I've never seen a photographer ever refer to this chart. Never have. Videographers do. Cinematographers do. But photographers don't. So, what are we looking at up here? Field of view, unit of distance. Distance between subject A and subject B within the field of view of what you're seeing. Now over here we have a DX sensor and an FX sensor. We have EFOV, effective field of view. Remember, whatever comes into a lens is exactly the same. A 56mm is always a 56mm. 100mm is always 100mm, regardless, because the focal length is between the optical center of the lens. The center should be right over here, right? And here. Distance between here and here, right? Here and here. Focal length. So, this means that no matter what camera you're using, or what size of sensor is underneath it, whether it's DX sensor, FX sensor, Micro Four Thirds, GFX, or Phase 1 sensor, huge! A 56 is always a 56, a 300 is always a 300, a 20 is always a 20. That can never change. The focal is the focal. Yeah. Right? Unless we use something like a focal reducer. Let's not talk about that. So we add something, back here to the back end of the lens, between the camera and the lens. Let's not talk about that. It confuses people. Field of view, unit of distance. Over here we have something in degrees, right? Angle of view. Now this is also what confuses people. If you stick a 56mm lens, for example, on a DX lens, a DX crop sensor camera, excuse me, Take a 56 millimeter. Let's just say this is a full frame lens, okay? If we stick a 56 on a crop sensor camera, what changes in angle of view? The answer is nothing changes. What? Sure it does, because everybody says a 56 is basically equal to an 85 millimeter, right? No, that would be effective angle of view or effective field of view. Okay. For photography's sake, everybody uses angle of view and field of view interchangeably. However, the button sniffers love to get hyper complex and say, well, you know, field of view is measurement of distance, angle of view is a measurement angle. Yeah, that's correct. However, let's not overcomplicate things. Let's leave it really, really simple. Let's point out the fact that every lens, A, craps out the exact same light out of its rear element regardless of what size sensor is underneath it or what camera is on. This has never changed and ever. It's never changed. It doesn't matter what camera you got, no matter what lens you got. Every lens poops out the same light, right? Kind of stupid sounding, but it makes you remember it, doesn't it? No camera on Earth has ever changed the focal length. 56 is always a 56. No camera on Earth has ever changed the angle of view because this lens on any size sensor has the same angle of view. Now, the effective angle of view or the effective field of view obviously has changed, right? Because our field of view that's projected back here has been cropped. And a crop is only a crop and only a crop and ever a crop and a crop. So what's a crop? You got a big sheet of paper over here and you cut this section out. Isn't that a crop? Yeah, that's exactly what a crop is. A crop is a crop and only a crop and ever a crop. Some people ignorantly have stated that the depth of field changes. No, it doesn't. I've got a link below I'd like you to click on. This is from Panavision talking about the Red Dragon. They'll even tell you they're the authority, the absolute authority above and beyond anybody else, that depth of field does not change with sensor size underneath it. Okay? So let's not even argue that. It's not even up for argument because it's impossible, because every lens craps out the exact same length. So, no camera on Earth has ever changed the focal length. The 56 is always 56. Angle of view captured never changes either. The effective angle of view does change, right? So, because the 56 basically has the field of view, or we can interchange that with angle of view, of an 85, basically, right? Now, here's the problem. Here's the question mark right down here. Is it really an 85? No, because our feet here, okay, we have another person right down here with a full-frame camera underneath this, right? Instead, this is the DX camera. Let's talk about the green line here, okay? This person with a 56 has the same field of view as the other person with an FX with an 85 millimeter lens. But since our feet are glued to the table and the person between, okay, person shooting with the 56 has a stick figure or person like this, and the person shooting with the 85 millimeter has the exact same thing. The only difference is, well, both people are standing in the exact same spot. One has a 56 millimeter, which has a field of view effectively of 85 millimeter. Okay? He has to get the same bokeh. Okay, get the same bokeh. He's going to have to shoot, depending on the lens, at f1.2 or f1.4. That means that's a pretty expensive fast lens. That is the reason why the Fuji 56 millimeter is rated at a 1.2. It's like, why is the 56 millimeter so fast? Well, to make the 56 millimeter on a crop sensor lens look like an 85 millimeter 1.8, it has to be shot at f1.2 or f1. I've done examples, posted up test shots. It basically halfway between 1.4 and 1.2. Let's just say 1.4. So the 56 at 1.4 is identical to the 85 at 1.2. But the 56 is always a 56. Now it has the same bokeh. Has to be shot at f1.4 or f1.2. But the compression is different. Since your feet are glued to the exact same spot, okay? This is what confuses people. Since your feet are glued to the exact same spot as the guy taking a shot with a full-frame camera, here's the advantage, one of the advantages of a full-frame camera. Now, the person is framed identical, one with a 56 with a crop sensor, the other one with the 85 millimeter on a FX camera. Now, I've had to open up the 56 millimeter on the DX lens to f1.2 or f1.4 to make identical bokeh to the 85 millimeter at f1.8. Nevertheless, the person has different compression. They look different. It's one of the advantages. Frame the person identical, but the compression is going to be different. If you don't understand compression, refer back to the video that I posted just like 20 minutes ago. So effective angle of view changes But actual angle of view doesn't change because every lens on Earth, what it captures up here in angle of view and field of view, can never change. The only thing that can change occurs back here. This is the important part that people never get. Now this is our image sensor back here, okay? Whether it's FX or DX, let's say here's the DX sensor, here's the FX sensor. FX there, DX here. This is the rear element of the lens, let's say, and it's shooting out the light right here. Nothing from here forward can ever change. You see this? This entire circle right here. Nothing up here, if you're standing in the same spot, okay? Nothing up here can ever change between switching between FX or DX or even FX and micro four thirds. If you're able to slap that same lens on a micro four thirds camera, a DX camera, a full frame camera, or a medium format camera, like the Fuji GFX or a Phase 1 camera, nothing up here, rear element forward, all the way to our subjects between A and B, which is our field of view, measured in distance, and our angle of view measured in degrees. Nothing up here between the lens and our subjects can change. The only thing that changes is crop. Crop's cropped, crop's only crop, crop's ever crop, crop's crop, crop, crop. Nothing changes. You see? Crop, crop only. What changes on the camera? Nothing changes. What changes up here in the angle of view, or field of view? Nothing. Nothing back here on the camera can affect anything up here. Nothing. Let's repeat the only key important fact, that the only thing a camera communicates between the camera and the lens is focus, duh, vibration reduction, duh, and distance for flash calculation, duh, right? No camera on Earth has ever, at any point in time, ever changed the focal length. 56 is 56, this focal length will remain unchanged. Can't change it. Nope. It's kind of why you got to stick an adapter back here, you know, to mount to, like, say, a Nikon lens on your Fuji, or like an old M42 lens on your Fuji, or a Canon lens on your Fuji. Doesn't change focal length. Doesn't change the angle of view captured by that lens. It changes the crop. I change my sensor from FX to DX for micro four thirds, crop, 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 crop. That only occurs back here. Never anything up here. Nothing up here from the camera can affect anything up here. Everything back here stays back here. Everything back here is image processing. Image capture, image processing. Everything up here is unchangeable. Nothing changes. Well, sure it changes. If I stand in the same spot, a field of view changes, an angle of view changes. No. It's cropped back here. You stand in the same spot with your feet glued to the floor. What the lens captures, the same lens on a different sensor. Everything it captures, both field of view and angle of view, is impossible to change. Your camera cannot affect anything up here other than vibration control, autofocus, and asking the lens, "Hey lens!" "Yeah, camera?" "What's the distance you're at?" "I'm at 20 feet. And your camera goes, "Oh, okay, I'm going to set my flash distance calculation." Yay! That's what Nikon happened when it was the went from non-D to D series. The D series included D series and the pre-D on the Nikkor lenses, for example. They included flash distance calculation, handshake communication between camera and lens. Yay! Now the camera knows, "Hey lens, what's the distance to the subject you're at?" "I'm focused at 20 feet. Hooray! That's what changed between. People always asking about, I got the same lens here, but it doesn't have a D on it. What's the D on that big Nikkor lens? It should stand for distance. Like, yay, now the lens communicates with the camera. So, now we know field of view doesn't change, angle of view doesn't change, focal length does not change. That's impossible. It's impossible. I think occurs crops, crop, and crop, and crop, and only a crop. Nothing up here affects anything up here. Your feet are glued to the floor, nothing changes. It's impossible for it to change. What occurs back here is effective field of view changes, or effective angle of view. Effective. What's cropped out? Well, a 56 millimeter ends up being essentially the same field of view, or angle of view, as an 85 millimeter. I see. If you can remember one thing, is that no camera ever controls any lens as far as what it poops out back here. Never has, ever. Not once, ever! Never, ever, ever! What happens here? On the light. Let's throw some light back here on the sensor. Woo! No camera has ever affected anything from here forward. Get meow, 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 meow. That would be the butt end of the lens forward. No camera has ever affected that. If you can find someone that can tell me that if your feet are glued to the floor, that any camera, it doesn't matter if your feet are glued to the floor or not, actually, in this case, any camera has ever affected anything from meow forward, I will give you $1 million because it doesn't exist. It might exist in the future. There's technology that's working on adaptive hybrid lenses, but that's in the distant future. That everything currently, and hence hither, in the past, nothing meow has affected anything meow. Meow doesn't mess with anything meow. If you think you know more of that than I do about lenses, let me know, because you, A, are going to be wrong, and B, you're going to be proven wrong. Get serious, get serious. Yeah, okay. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you understood this. And, you know, if you like this video, you can always drop a dime or a burger. I like a burger. I haven't eaten all day. It's like, oh, the fat guy surely eaten. It's like, no, I haven't eaten yet. So, let me throw some freckles in here. Whee! 1 minute, I gotta throw a double chin in. Yeah, there was a double chin. There's my ears. Wait a minute, I got no hair. Hey, thank you so much. Hooray! There we go. What's up? What's up, girlfriend? There we go. What's up?